Hey everyone, Josh Evil Sizer. Okay, so in an attempt to land some transparency to the budgeting process, I'm making this video to accompany my post on how to set up a budget. And in this video, I'm showing you how amazingly simple it is to create a budget by demonstrating how to fill out a very no-frills Google spreadsheet that I put together in just a few minutes. I also shared this Google Sheet in my blog, joshevilsizer.com, and of course it's available down below in the comments. So anyone who wants this should have no problem getting their hands on a copy. There's really not a whole lot to this, so let's go ahead and jump right in. First of all, we're looking at a Google spreadsheet. If you're not familiar with these, Google Drive, Google Docs, drop a comment down below. We'll get you dialed in. This stuff's way too easy. So you see here instructions, scroll down. So if you scroll down, you'll see that there are instructions. And I'm going to read these instructions to you, and we're going to cover all the steps and then some, but they're there if you need them. So looking at the spreadsheet, moving left to right, you'll see the first entry is description. So this is just what it is. You enter what you're entering. Net salary, home principal on your mortgage, condo fees, pest control, cell phone payments, car payments, homeowners insurance, etc. That's what you fill in there. I've gone ahead and filled out some of the most common entries to kind of jog your memory. And then I've also added 38 other additional extra entries. So should you have additional items you want to enter, the spaces are already there for you with the formulas entered on the right-hand side already as well too. And then whatever you don't need, you can delete, and we'll cover that in a second as well. Category, subcategory, payment method, and type. So these are not required to make this thing work, but I've added them, and if you fill them out, when you move over to the budget pivot, it'll give you an even more condensed snapshot of where your money's going. So that is why those categories and subcategories are there. And I've kind of filled them all out for you. So hopefully it kind of makes sense what I've done. And you can just continue using that methodology if you like if you like what's going on here, so to speak. All right. So category, subcategory, payment method, and type. So type fixed. So do you pay the same amount every month? Fixed variable. Do you pay an amount every month, but it fluctuates a little bit, or is it completely variable, like say gas, where you can actually not drive a whole month and your cost will go down? So those are the 4 categorization headers. Then the next 5 are for frequency of payment. So let's say you spend $2 a day at Starbucks, you would make your entry in the daily column. Let's say you spend $100 a week on groceries. That's what you'd spend that's what you'd put in the weekly column. Monthly, quarterly, annually, so on and so forth. All right. In these last 2 columns, the information gets summarized for you with the magical help of spreadsheets and formulas, except for these 2 right here. And this is where we enter annual income. This is also where the instructions start. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading from those right now. 5 steps. Step 1, enter income using positive numbers. I've done that here. Positive numbers because it's positive cash flow. Hopefully that makes sense for you. Then over here, I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and you can see how the formulas take away the information over here as well. But let's say our monthly home mortgage is $1,000. We make it using a negative entry because it's negative cash flows, right? We're spending that money. It's going away. All right, then you can see how the formulas populate over here. So for $1,000 a month, of course, we're spending $1,000 a month and $12,000 if annualized or each year. Step 2, enter all expenses using negative numbers. Just did that. Step 3, do not enter numbers in cells shaded gray. As you can see here, and as I showed you, that's where the formulas do the work for you. So you don't need to enter anything there. And don't enter anything there or you'll overwrite the formulas. Enter costs in their corresponding columns. I've gone ahead and done some of these for us just to kind of show you how each one works. So right here, lawn care, $500 annually. And you can see that costs us about $42 a month. And then for water and sewer quarterly, you can see that costs us about $50 a month. And then for electric, $50 a month, $50 a month, and about $600 a year. I've got 2 categories of groceries here. You've got the Aldi, the Kroger's, and then of course the Sam's Club type, which let's say you might spend $500 there quarterly. All right, and then of course we've got the other type, and I put some exorbitant numbers in here because I'm going to show you how to change that in a minute once we look at our grand total. Entertainment, $300 a week. Starbucks, $20 a day. Obviously, it's a little high. Monthly, our gym membership's $100. We spend $500 a week on clothes. You can see how all these items tally out on the right. And then, of course, once you get to the very bottom, you can see what your grand total is. At this point, we're spending negative $7,120 a year. So that's a problem, right? Your money in needs to exceed your money out. So what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll just change some of these numbers. So let's say we don't need to spend $500 a week on clothes, but maybe $100 a month is more reasonable, depending on your household, of course. Gym membership. Probably find a cheaper gym, right? Starbucks. Well, maybe spend $5 a day instead of $20, which I'd argue is still too much. But entertainment, let's curb that a little bit. Let's bring it down to $50 a week. Okay. Groceries, $500 a week. I don't think so. Let's try 100. I think we've hit up most of the costs that we can kind of bring down there. So now that we've tweaked this, right, this is the whole point of this budgeting process. You go back and you adjust all the things that you can either spend more or spend less in. And then once you're done adjusting all those numbers, boom, now I've got $57,000 extra to play with this year. I wish that was reality. That's simply how it works. Like I said, I've got a number of extra entries down here. Should the ones that I've provided not suit your needs and should you run out? But let's say, okay, I've filled out all these rows and I don't need any of these extra entries. Very simply, just highlight the first row, highlight the last row, delete them all, and there you go. Finally, I'll make sure that I've covered all the steps here. So I have. And like I said, once you're done putting all your numbers in down here, this is where you get to see how much you have left over. And then, of course, go back and update or change all the other entries so that you've allocated all of your money. And what do I mean by that? So you'll certainly want to add savings goals. So that down here, your funds remaining equals 0 because you want to save just like you want to spend on other items. And perhaps you also want to give money to charity and a few other things. There's your Roth entries and so on and so forth. So very simple budget. It allows you to very easily see how much you're spending. You manipulate the amounts so that you come out with obviously positive or 0 at the end. And then once you're all done, you can come over to the budget pivot, and that's going to give you a snapshot as well. So you can review where all the money went, and some of these items break down. And you hit that little plus sign and expand, so you can see how much in each subcategory, and of course how much in the overall greater category. Again, very simple. But once you've got this thing filled out, it gives you a starting point, and then you can move on to the perhaps a little bit more complicated, but yet still simple to use budgeting apps like Mint and You Need Another Budget, You Need a Budget, YNAB, and things like that. Anyhow, that's it. Please don't forget to check out my full post on the hows and whys of setting up a budget. That's where most of the free chicken is. But thanks for watching. I hope this budget gets you on the right track, just like it did for me a few years ago. Cheers.